to the Self-Care and Compassion On-Demand video. This is one of two shorter on-demand options that were developed due to the popularity of the Self-Care and Compassion 2-hour live workshop. Both are introductions to self-care and team care. This one highlights the importance of self-care during crisis. The other video focuses on caring for your team. Workshops with deeper dives into self-care, boundary setting, mindfulness, compassion, and what I call the outdoor life task are in development. My name is Michelle Durr, and my company is Anava Consulting, LLC. I say Anava is a sweet spot between strength and humility. You can read more about me on the About Us page of my website. I am a former wildlife biologist and believe that 90% of wildlife management is people management. I've focused my business on people and well-being. I serve as a national faculty member for the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, facilitating workshops on conflict resolution, cooperative language, and internal dialogue. I have studied the psychology of Alfred Adler and obtained a certificate in wellness coaching through Phoenix Process Consultants and Adler Graduate School, where I also teach eco-psychology. I will start and end this presentation with compassion. First, have compassion for yourself. All of our lives have been turned upside down in some way. Even if your work life hasn't changed much, increased stress is in the system and affects us all. Coronavirus is an actual threat, and under threat, our brains respond with fight, flight, and freeze. Some of you have lost daycare and are caring for small children while trying to work. Others may be serving as teachers for school-aged children who are home full-time because schools are closed. Others may have family members who are vulnerable, creating extra worry, especially when you cannot provide direct support. Some are experiencing job loss or fear of loss. I've experienced loss too. We are all doing our best. We are all adjusting and learning as we go. No one has the answers, so just have compassion for yourself and those around you. There is a lot going on right now. In our society, I think there's a misunderstanding of what normal is. It is not a place where we arrive and can rest. If you are struggling, it does not mean there is something wrong with you. It just means you have to do some work to overcome the struggle. You should also trust your struggle. It often means you have to either work on relationship with others or work on relationship with yourself. No one is immune to struggle. The quote on the left is from Alfred Adler, who says, "The only normal people are the ones you don't know very well." In other words, if you see someone whom you think has it all together, it just means you don't know them deep enough to know what their struggle is. Let's focus on emotions for a minute. I've put together a list of emotions I expect in times of challenge or crisis. This is not a complete list. In the live workshops, I asked people to pick one and share it. Nearly all of these have shown up. Many participants expressed multiple emotions, which creates experiences of overwhelm. You are normal to be feeling any or many of these emotions. I recommend identifying your emotions and writing about them. Writing is a great way to release stress from the body. Just free flow write, expletives allowed. If they are out, so to speak, they are less likely to dictate your behavior. Don't avoid your negative emotions. Do identify them and think about a useful solution. For example, if the word disoriented resonates with you, a solution might lie around a more defined schedule. If you're feeling helpless, focus on solutions within your control. Emotions give clues to movement, so being able to identify them is a useful skill. To overcome negativity bias, spend more time on positives. Research says we need 5 to 7 positives for every 1 negative. Find a couple of words that resonate with you here too. I encourage you to write at least 2, if not more, of these words down and journal about them for as long as you can. What are you seeing in the world that is joy-filled, alive, makes you feel strong, or opens you up to new possibilities? Sit with these positive emotions, savor them, write about them, and celebrate them. Take extra time in the positive feelings to help your body release stress and feel safe. If you don't have a regular gratitude practice, now is the time to start. When you wake up, write something you are grateful for to start the day well. Express gratitude again before bed to end your day well too. There is a difference between stress and stressors. Stressors are issues you are facing that cause a stress response in the body. Things like work, finances, family, maybe even discrimination or expectations are all external stressors. Coronavirus, like any other major unpredicted event, adds another layer of stress to the system. These external stressors are often not within your control, and you can only control your reaction to them. There are also internal stressors, our own self-criticism, bad memories that can be triggered, or when we've over-identified with work or as a parent and are struggling to be our authentic selves. Stress, on the other hand, is the shift that takes place inside our bodies as a result of the stressors in our lives. Stress shows up first as worry, a slightly increased heart rate or breathing, or it might show up as a stomach ache or commonly as tension. I know mine shows up most prevalently in the neck and shoulders. When stress isn't relieved in some way, long-term effects like migraine and frequent headaches, problems with our mental health, panic attack, skin conditions, or digestive problems show up. The point is that when we feel stress, we must take some action to move it so that it doesn't remain stuck in the body and lead to long-term health issues. A quick note about stress. Not all stress is bad. Eustress, the good stress, is the kind that motivates us and can improve performance. It's the stress we can handle and we use to take positive movement. The stress is the bad stress and starts with the belief that we can't handle what's coming. The stress is the stress that leads to health issues I mentioned in the previous slide. Athletes use good stress to improve, and it can be what helps you move too. The first skill in being able to move stress is the ability to catch yourself in overwhelm, overthinking, or mental spin and stop. After you catch yourself, try to move your thoughts to your body by taking several deep breaths and paying attention to where you feel the air enter your body. You might feel it in the top of your nose, at the back of your throat, or in the top of your lungs. Focus on your breath and how the air goes in and out of your body. Another method, called box breathing, is breathing in for the count of 4, holding it for 4, releasing for 4, and holding for another 4, and then repeating the process. I encourage having something handy that signals you to stop and be present. It could be an item on your desk, a piece of art, anything that is a reminder to focus on the present. The image on the left is a rock I use. I hold it during presentations, especially when I pause for reflection time, because as an extrovert, silence is a struggle. The rock has personal meaning to me and reminds me of a great day with a friend. So find an item that initiates positive feelings for you. The best way to complete the cycle, that is, to relieve stress from the body, is to move. Exercise is the best way to move stress, but you can also just shake your hands and feet or get up and take a quick walk outside. Physical activity is what tells your brain you have successfully survived the threat and your body is a safe place to live again. Other ways to complete the cycle include interaction, contacting a friend or support system. Laughing is also a great way to let your body know it's safe. I've seen research that a 20-second hug with someone will relieve some effects of stress. If you have people in your home, use that as both a stress reliever and a way to connect. Finally, any kind of creative expression will help you move stress. Dancing, music, painting, drawing, writing, or whatever form of creative expression you like. Take time to establish your support team in writing. Include people from each of these categories if possible. In times of crisis, touch base with each person, even if you don't need them yet, just to verify you will be there for each other. I recommend multiple categories so that you aren't relying on just one person for support. Check in with people who might need your support as well. Sometimes we get through crisis by just letting each other know we're there. This practice helps recognize our need for each other and has the extra benefit of instilling gratefulness for having a support system. A little tip I used back when my kids were teenagers is asking, do you just need to vent or do you want help? If I knew which one it was, the conversation would be very different. The skill of identifying emotions comes in handy when someone is venting. Saying, you sound frustrated, or whatever emotion you hear, is often all that's needed for the other person to feel heard. Write down your support team and have the list handy for when you need it. Of course, we've all heard this before. I only recently shifted my mindset around food and finally understand the importance of whole foods. Since making a commitment to it, I have noticed a dramatic reduction in back pain and inflammation. Instead of thinking I can't have certain foods deemed bad for me, I ask myself, will this really help me be my best self? I also watch my language around food. I catch myself saying, I can't have that, and change it to, I choose not to have that, because it is always a choice. Mindset shifts like this take time, so celebrate progress often. We all know sleep is important. In my live workshops, I talk briefly about research on the efficiency of sleep and the ratio of sleep time to time in bed. Not having the time here, I will say that removing the extra distraction and brain stimulation of electronics, like TV, phones, and other devices from the bedroom, is helpful. That's the best place to start. Sleep is time for your brain to rest, and we need more rest during times of stress than less. And of course, we know exercise is important. In times of stress, though, we have to do more. Move often during the day, even if it's just small steps or standing and stretching. In my longer wellness workshops, I go into more depth into what wellness really is. What I will say here is that wellness is a constant growth process. Illness starts with discouragement, and without correction leads to self-defeat and worse. Personal growth begins with awareness and continues through encouragement and learning until we feel fully authentic and actualized. This is lifelong work. I tell people to use this simple test when thinking about taking action in word or deed. Is this useful or useless? I'm using this test to walk through a few examples. I love seeing more people cooking, especially with kids. If you can, plan your meals to optimize nutrition and budget. I use a free app called MyFitnessPal that tracks food, nutrition level, and movement. It is useless to use the refrigerator for comfort. Open the front door instead of your fridge door. A food craving can be a signal for water, by the way, so go for a drink first. We know we need to stay hydrated. It is useless to relieve stress with alcohol. Under stress is often the time when addictions can creep in. Your body and mind need rest in the way of sleep and breaks. I remember a few years back when my body was signaling for rest and I would just keep saying to myself, one more day. Because I wasn't listening, my body forced me to rest through pneumonia. Practice mindfulness moments throughout the day. If you are new to mindfulness, it is a practice that helps you reset your brain, but over time, it also helps you become more aware of yourself and improves our ability to be compassionate. Running around in busyness is not useful. It is useful to put movement times on your calendar and set movement reminders. Thinking about exercise as optional, or I'll get to that when I can, is useless. Your mind needs your body to be well too. It is useful to spend time writing down realistic expectations. Cut yourself some slack in significant struggles. Now might be a time to rethink or reframe what productivity means, especially if you are new to working at home with this new stress. It is useless to expect the same productivity if you have significant change in your home work life. It took me a while to establish a routine while working from home, and that was under regular circumstances. So be patient with yourself. It is useful to focus on your efforts in the next 2 weeks and useless to predict anything. Set your top 3 priorities each day and work on those first. Set weekly priorities too. Focus on progress, not perfection. It is useful to set and then discuss boundaries with your family and coworkers. Try to find a space that is designated for work and talk to your family about the rules around entering it. My kids knew that when I was in my office, it was off limits unless there was an emergency. Negotiate the space if there are multiple family members using it. I have 2 college students at home that need the space for classes, so we have to prioritize and negotiate. Block times on your calendar for specific activities. The more you stick to a routine and help others do the same, the better your relationships will be. If you use a shared calendar, block time for breaks, moving, taking care of kids, even times when you are working but aren't taking calls or addressing emails. Honor the boundaries of others as well. Find a media outlet or 2 that you trust and limit your time there. Frequent media exposure can leave you spinning and is useless. Express gratitude to your family and your team frequently. Institute or expand gratefulness practices to help you stay positive. I put expect optimism in the useless column. I am an optimist and see gold almost everywhere, but I don't expect optimism from others, especially if they are deep in struggle. And of course, it's important to care for yourself before others. You bring your gifts to others when you are your best self. It is useless to believe that self-care is soft. Further, ask yourself, what are some opportunities I have right now to change the way I treat my mind and body? How can I change my relationships for the better in this unique situation? Act on those opportunities. If you're stuck, reach out to your support team. As said, I would start and end with compassion. This is a sketch I created as a result of a TED Talk by Kristen Neff, compassion expert. Instead of letting the self-critic take hold or beat ourselves up, we overcome this threat response using kindness. When you feel like fighting, ask yourself, what would a good friend say right now? Instead of distracting ourselves or avoiding reality, we can overcome the flight response by acknowledging that this is hard and that everyone is suffering in some way. This is what makes us human. Instead of staying stuck in struggle, we overcome by using mindfulness. This helps us become aware and acknowledge our situation and feelings without judgment. Finally, ask yourself, what would love do? What can I control right now? How can I show love to myself and others? I'll close with what we covered today. I started and ended the presentation with compassion. I encourage you to start and end each day with gratitude and grant yourself space to acknowledge your challenges. We talked about emotions and the importance of validating them. The entire emotions wheel is normal in stressful times. I talked about using positive emotions and practices to help overcome negativity bias. I've covered various aspects of stress and how important it is to complete the cycle so we don't develop illness. I suggested a simple test when deciding to act, and that is this really useful or useless? I talked about being our best selves in mind and body so we can each take our gifts out to the world. We all need those gifts right now. I think we learn most in struggle. I know I have. I leave you with this quote from Sherry Mitchell from her book called Sacred Instructions. I was taught that every difficulty that we face in life is directly proportional to the amount of strength it can provide us. The more painful the experience, the more love it can open within us. The uglier the situation, the greater the beauty it brings forth. The deeper the darkness, the more expansive the light. Please thank the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, and specifically the MAP team, for providing this service to the conservation community. And I thank them for the opportunity to provide this information to you. I hope you found a useful tool or two to help you through this crisis. If you have interest in this topic as a live webinar with more discussion and engagement, please contact Amanda Myers at amyers@fishwildlife.org. Or for a deeper dive into self-care, contact me at michelle@anavaconsulting.com. Thank you.